Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for those people who have their natal Pluto in the eighth house, which is Scorpio's house. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. That's the modern ruler. The traditional ruler was Mars. And so now we have both of these planets being said to rule Scorpio. And so the themes of the eighth house are what Pluto is all about. And so somebody who has Pluto in this house is likely a survivor of something. The eighth house can be the house of trauma. Other areas that the eighth house represent are death, and of course, that can be a form of trauma if somebody important to you dies, especially if you're very young and we're very dependent on that person and you don't understand what death means. So that can certainly shape a person's belief about life itself, death at a young age. But but also death is part of the mystery, one of the mysteries of life, and that is what the eighth house represents. It's the house of the occult. So what lies beneath is the eighth house. This is the house of psychology. People with Pluto in the eighth house are very good at reading other people, and they know when people are lying. They know what makes other people tick. And so that can be something that can be parlayed into a career if other factors support it. But anyway, the other things that the eighth house represent are shared resources and metaphysics. When I said the occult, we could be talking about astrology and the tarot, but just other types of esoteric teachings. Ninth house can be more of the organized religions. The eighth house is more of the mystery schools. The eighth house is about mysteries in general. And what lies beneath the surface, kind of the seedy side of life, the dark side, um, the shadow self, so those uncomfortable emotions. And so there's a theme of the eighth house of regeneration. So we talk about death, but we're also talking about rebirth. And actually, in the tarot, the death card is connected to Scorpio, and also Pluto in the tarot in the major arcana is connected to the Judgment card, and it's a card of rebirth. So that just goes to show you got death and you got rebirth in both. In two different cards in the major arcana, both connected to, Scorpio and Pluto. So basically, what this can mean is that no one should ever count you down because you can survive. You're like a cockroach. You can survive anything. And you also can recreate yourself in that sense, regenerate, come back and have another go at things. So this is what resilience is. This is what you have, and these trials and tribulations strengthen you because they test your mettle, and you realize that you have more strength than you thought within you, and this very element in your nature can be used to be a healer for others. You may feel a strong urge to be a healer, and you have a great affinity for psychology and kind of like analyzing people's psychological makeup. Um, but there are other types of healing modalities as well, and you may also be interested in those. And the theme of helping people to transform can be a part of that. So I would say something in the addiction field would be a perfect fit for you, because the eighth house can be addictions. I didn't see that. I just want to give a shout out to a couple of the sites that I went to. One is called astrologyk.com. I've used them before. They're really great. The other one, ugh, I don't know if I had that. It was a really good one. It's called advancedastrology.com. There's a hyphen between advanced and astrology. They were both great sources for me compiling this list, but I didn't see anything that they said about addiction. I was just kind of skimming their information though. And I know that the eighth house is the house of obsession, and addiction to me is a form of obsession. The 12th house and the fifth house are associated with addiction as well. I think with the fifth house, it's coming from a motivation of pleasure, of wanting to feel good. In the eighth house, in the 12th house, I feel it's in the form of escape. It's Pisces house. And in the eighth house, I feel like it's like sometimes when people get involved in addiction, they become obsessed with the whole ritual of it. And it's interesting too. Um, I'd really like to know the exact meaning of the word ritual, because I just think of, certain behaviors that you do for instance, a spiritual practice, let's say. And people who get addicted to things, they will talk about their little rituals that they do if they're preparing like a drug or something like that. And they have that, and that becomes part of the whole process. So it could be something along those lines, but being obsessed with something. And, but you could help transform other people who are struggling with an addiction, and maybe they're lying in a gutter someplace, and you help them, and then a year later they're like, they own their own business or something like that. They just make this major transformation because you are so good at helping them radically shift their life. There can be a fascination or obsession with death. Now, if I didn't see this specifically, but I'll just say, if Mars is in this house, be careful. And especially if Mars is afflicted, be careful with risk daredevil behavior. Because sometimes people do things, and you're almost wondering. It's like when people play Russian roulette, with a gun and stuff. What is that all about? You wonder sometimes, is it like that fascination with death and being like this close to death that kind of, turns them on and makes them feel alive, or doing something that is very, very scary, but very dangerous? That's, I guess, what you'd say daredevil behavior. Do these people, are they, what is their true motivation there? Well, one of it is, it's like, death is such a scary thing, and yet this idea that it is mysterious, that's what makes people so obsessed with it. But it can just be as simple as someone who is reading a lot about life after death, near death experiences, and so on and so forth. I didn't see anything about near death experiences. I would think that that's also a possibility with somebody who has Pluto in the eighth house, that could be something that they experience, and as a result, it totally shifts their life. I know somebody personally who had a near-death experience and was pronounced dead. I don't know if it was a half hour or something, maybe 20 minutes. And that person, I don't know if they have Pluto in the eighth house, but that person was like, right before the accident, the person was like, oh, I don't believe in God, or, this kind of thing. And then the next time my partner saw him, because they were friends, he had a cross around his neck and he was carrying a Bible around. So, and he said he had spoken to Jesus. So, these kinds of things, people can totally transform themselves from a near death experience or from other, incredibly traumatic or dramatic situations. And so these are the kinds of things these are the themes that, play out in the eighth house. And that could be true for you as well. Now, this is a house of power. And so power can be kind of a real theme of your life. It could be a loaded word in a sense, because, or control is kind of a bit of a, I don't know about if it's a synonym, but it's a related word. And because this can be a house where some sort of abuse takes place, this can be why there is a desire for power or control, because you felt like you didn't have it at one point in your life. Now, this is the house of sex. So the abuse could have come in the form of sex or of any kind of physical overpowering. We use the word being overpowered when somebody physically gets the best of you. But anything that you have felt like you were controlled and you're trying to break free from that so that you can feel powerful can be part of what, motivates you. So with sex, and it's an important theme in your life, but it could be the person who is afraid of sex because of some kind of trauma surrounding it. So this is kind of like that, what we would call, I don't know if I'd say confusing aspect, because, and the same with intimacy in general, this is the house of intimacy. And so when we talk about intimacy, I think a lot of people assume that we're talking about sex, but actually, this sex is just the symbolism of what that means. True intimacy is actually at the emotional or soul level, because sex, the sex act is the act that involves the physical. You can have sex and not have emotional intimacy. And the emotions are probably even more dangerous, if you will, because that feeling of vulnerability that comes when you let somebody know, I really love you, I really care about you, knowing that that person can reject you, they can betray you. That is ultimately more of I think, a threat than the physical side of things, which is much more, on the surface in a lot of ways. So that can be something that you have to kind of make peace with and make sure that you're able to really get a handle on, because it might be, and there might be ambivalence surrounding that area of life. There is this interest in the dark side of life, taboos, kind of like the maybe even the criminal element, the the seedy underbelly. And this can, so with the criminal element in psychology, you might be interested in criminals. Maybe even some people even like to hang around such people because they find them fascinating. So all of that can play out in your life in some way. And again, you can help others um, who are looking to, you know, change their ways by dealing with this, because maybe they're trying to transform and get out of a certain place that they're in. Really, this is about helping others heal who are in a crisis. You would be great in a crisis situation. So it's a very powerful placement. There's no question about that. You know, you may have had a lot of things in life that were challenging and that have brought you to the place that you're at, but you should be proud that you're a survivor because you were able to overcome so much. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.